All right, this movie is going to be for page 9 and the tick marks. I've already put them on the screen, the finished ones, and you can see that the ones at the hour marks are a little longer than the ones at the minute marks. But the way to start this is to simply take one tick mark, and I put it in here, and I turned everything else off so we can just see this. I put one rectangle right in the center of the guide. I mean, I got really close to make sure this guy was right in the center of everything, as you can see I am, and right on the edge. So what I want to do with this one up at 12 is put it down at 6. So I want to hold Command Option and drag straight down to the bottom, and then zoom into the bottom and make sure it is exactly where it should be on the bottom. I missed it by just an iota. So let's hold the Shift key to constrain it and make sure it is exactly where it wants to be, right there. Now, let us take these two, and we have to group them. So let's grab both of them together. Okay, and now just because they're together doesn't mean they're grouped. So now let's hit Command G to group. And now when we go to transform these, the Effect Transform palette has an ability to transform multiple copies, only if they're grouped though. And it'll use the center pivot where the center of the two shapes are to rotate them. So we're going to make 29 copies, one for each side, of course, one whole set for each side. And we're going to go the rotation angle of 6 degrees, which will make all the copies that we need. So now I simply hit OK, and we get 29 copies that are all around this. Now, technically, there aren't any more than 2, because you can see I still have the 2 selected right there. Let me put the tick marks on something a little bit better black so we can see them. But see how I have the tick marks selected? Okay, they're still all selected, but you really can't, these don't exist yet. So what we need to do is to expand their ability to exist. Under the object palette, we can expand the appearance, which will turn 2 things which have an effect added to them into the items that we need, and I just did that, and you can see how we have them beautifully done. Now all we need to do, and I've already made a radial gradient that goes inside of them, and with all of them selected, if I take the radial gradient and I get really close, and then I take the G key and I make the radial gradient go from out here to out here, they will all do the same thing. Whoops, I need the radial gradient, I'm sorry, to go from the center out to the edge. Now, why I did that is because if I show you the actual radial gradient, you can tell that I need to bring the gradient palette up. Where's my gradient palette? Okay, I must have put it away. Look at how in the gradient palette I forced this gradient to go from blue, and real close to each other I have blue to orange. So, in other words, let me close the gradient palette. If I take the G key, you can see how the gradient actually goes from the center to the edge. But each one is going to act exactly like it should act. Now, if I want less blue there, then all I have to do is go back to the center. Let me get it all on screen so we can do this right. And click, and instead of dragging it with the Shift key over far that way, let's just go a little bit back so the actual orange comes back a little bit more. Actually, I went back too far. Now I don't have any blue there. So let's click and hold the Shift key and go halfway. And that's a perfect amount of blue. It's exactly what I wanted. So now I have a real nice arted set of tick marks which look real nice. Now you can go in, and I won't do this, I'll just do it for one. You can go in and you can take the hour ones at the actual hours, and I'll grab this right here. Let me just a minute, I'll grab that one right there, and I'll go down, and you can make them a little bit longer, okay? So please just do that, and it's not a big deal. Just go to the 1. You can see I'm just eyeballing it, so I'll get close to the 1. And I'll grab the 1 at 1, and I'll just move it out a little bit like that, and then you can have customized tick marks, okay? And I think that looks pretty cool. So there is our radial gradient. Actually, our gradient moved. Let me take the G key and position it back. I don't know how it moved, but it must have moved. So let's go back like this, and now I have it back. Perfect. And there is our nice tick marks. Just a minute, I think I messed up here on that one. No, that's perfect now. Okay. So The gradient is back. Actually, that's the old one. So let me hit F7 to bring the layer palette back in, and let me turn off the tick marks I just made and put on the ones that I had already positioned and already done exactly the way that I wanted them. So the next one will be the next one we are going to do the transparency and the blends for the glass reflection on the front of this, okay? And then I'll have it all showing when I come back.